Welcome to Top Shelf Fandom. I'm your host, Justin Thomas. If you have not subscribed, please make sure to do so now. And if you'd like to support creativity, check out the Patreon link in the information below. Alright guys, let's jump right into this one. HBO's Succession, an honest look at power. The HBO series originally aired June 3rd, 2018. I was caught up with Westworld at the time and missed out on all of the fun, but I've recently caught up in time for the second season. We will be going over the in and outs of HBO Succession. A combination of money, ambition, and parental neglect lends itself perfectly to tragedy on a Shakespearean scale. This is father versus son, love versus power, perfect embodiment of Young's quote. Where love is absent, power fills the vacuum. A family where love is absent in power absolutely fills the vacuum. In power absolutely corrupts. With a writing staff, a mix of Americans and Brits, men and women, comedy writers and dramatic playwrights all mixed together, with executive producer Adam McKay along with Will Ferrell, your fun teacher from high school as I like to refer to Adam McKay, a man that does not ignore the business end of business in such films as The Big Short and Vice, teaming up with show's creator Jesse Armstrong. Adam McKay takes time to trust the audience enough to understand the subject matter in which the story is revolving around. If it's set in the business world and set around events that are going on in this world, he trusts you to understand it. He has creative ways to teach you. As I said, I consider him to be the fun teacher. Now, he doesn't always get it 100% right, at least he gives it a shot. To properly set up what we're talking about here, we're going to take a quick look at how the Wolf of Wall Street handles information in which the audience should be privy to if they are trying to understand the events in which they are seeing unfold within the narrative, and then how it is handled in two of Adam McKay's films, Vice as well as The Big Short.
Mortgage-backed securities, subprime loans, tranches. It's pretty confusing, right? Does it make you feel bored or stupid? Well, it's supposed to.
We set the initial sales price, then sold those shares right back to our friends. Look, I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. But we were making more money than we knew what to do with.
Well, it's supposed to. Wall Street loves to use confusing terms to make you think only they can do what they do. Or even better, for you just to leave them the fuck alone. So here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath to explain.
Basically, Louis Ranieri's mortgage bonds were amazingly profitable for the big banks. They made billions and billions on their 2% fee they got for selling each of these bonds. But then they started running out of mortgages to put in them. After all, there are only so many homes and so many people with good enough jobs to buy them, right? So the banks started filling these bonds with riskier and riskier mortgages. Thank you, Venjenz. That way, they can keep that profit machine churning, right? By the way, these risky mortgages are called subprime. So whenever you hear subprime, think shit. Our friend Michael Burry found out that these mortgage bonds that were supposedly 65% AAA were actually just mostly full of shit. So now he's going to short the bonds, which means to bet against. Got it? Good. Now fuck off.
The highest level AAA's getting paid first, the lowest rated B's getting paid last, taking on defaults first. Now obviously if you're buying B's, you can make more money, but they're a little risky. Sometimes they fail. Chris?
8. It's Armageddon.
Yeah, that's right.
How come nobody's talking about this?
You're completely sure of
this
that.
way. I'm standing in front of a burning house, and I'm offering you fire insurance on it. A's, 0. B's, 0. Double B's, 0. Triple B's, 0. And then that happens.
What is that?
That's America's housing market.
On top of all this, HBO hired a litany of expert consultants to help the cast and creators actually understand the ins and outs of contemporary one-percenters, lead in business financial consultants, TV news consultants, media and social consultants, political consultants, culture and social consultants, and even a wedding consultant. The Roys are almost a stand-in for a few famous iconic moguls, everything from Redstones, the Trumps, the Hearsts. But the biggest similarities with the Roys and any real-world connection is the Murdochs. It's uncanny. Rupert Murdoch running the News Corp empire, which includes Fox News, the New York Post, and a slew of influential news entities in Europe and Australia. In our series, fictional Logan Roy runs Waystar Royco, a telecommunication conglomerate, which includes everything from cable news networks to theme parks. This is about the transfer of power, and the connection between the Murdochs and the fictional Roys is very much so present in the transfer within both respective families. In Succession, Kendall presumably is set to take over the company at the beginning of season 1.
Got a deal?
I'm not letting you Neanderthals in to rape my company, daddy's boy.
What the fuck?
You want to bump the offer another point? Do you want to call your dad?
Do you want to call your dad?
Son, business is a competition. You're trying to be weak, conflict averse. And I'm concerned you might be soft.
Logan's stepping down, Kendall's stepping up. All that changes very quickly. The turmoil that we see is not far off from the real-life turmoil that the Murdochs experienced with their original transition years back. Like the fictional Kendall Roy, Lachlan Murdoch left family business in 2005 and took a $100 million payout from the family trust. A decade later, Lachlan returned after Rupert reportedly did deem him his successor. But this makes this a closer connection to our show that blends some of the biography and characteristics of the two Murdoch sons with those of the Roys. As life imitates art, James's younger brother Lachlan shares a lot of the characteristics of Kendall's brother Roman, played by Kieran Culkin. Roman in the series is definitely the hardest character to get a beat on as far as knowing at least the true goals. He does seem to be interested in at least having the mantle of power, but does not seem to be too caught up in the job that comes along with that title. So I'm not going to give away too many plot points. I just really want to encourage people to see it and kind of dive into a little bit of the aspects of it that I really enjoy. I obviously enjoy the psychological aspect, meaning these people are not good people. And yes, the Roys they're pretty past any type of real redemption.
It's a nest of vipers. They'll wrap themselves around you and they'll suffocate you.
I'm pretty sure that's boa constrictors.
Someday in this world, things will change.
You've got your game going on. I've got my game.
You can make an argument for Kendall. I am empathetic and I have sympathy for Kendall as a protagonist. His behavior is still that of a sycophant, in the sense of all of these characters have to be monsters in order to survive in this field. It is no lie. If they're hoping to achieve anything in this specifically, this situation, there is no way they can go about it in a moral or ethical way. Kendall had a addiction problem, but that is just the worst possible situation for him, because in the business world, especially the corporate world, weakness is death. Showing any emotion, showing any lack of control, not being able to control yourself, and substance abuse is essentially that. So him going to rehab is pretty much worse than him continuing just to be a drug user. All the characters engage in behavior that is just egregious behavior. But the thing is, when he goes to rehab, he is showing the world that he can't control himself. He's trying to control himself by doing the right thing and getting help. But in the business world, again, predators, he would be better suited to just keep railing lines below rather than going and admitting that he has a weakness he's unable to control himself. And he does make some bad decisions, but overall you do feel for him. Kendall does seemingly love Logan, and it's hard to tell if Logan loves his children in any sense that at least I can fathom. I'd have to believe that there's something there, but there is a plethora of issues with Logan, and throughout season 1, we won't do too many spoilers, but he does have a stroke in the first episode. So he is not 100% there mentally, but when he is functioning in just the worst possible ways. And it just seems to be the better he is, the more vicious he is. So there's really not a lot to redeem. So some would say, well, what is the point of watching something like this? Well, there's a Veep feel to it. There is a dark comedy. This is not new for HBO. There is just this constant back and forth, especially within the characters such as the cousin Greg and Tom. Tom is the boyfriend of Shiv, one of the daughters of Logan. He feels low about himself. He works within the company, but people treat him like dirt. There's a pecking order. He's not at the top of it, but he's above one person, the new guy, audience surrogate Greg. So it is just disgusting the way these people prey on each other and how petty they are.
And I mean this in the best possible way, as a stone cold killer bitch.
Use Jonah for intelligence.
That's like trying to use a croissant as a fucking dildo.
I thought that...
No. Let me be more clear. It doesn't do the job, and it makes a fucking mess.
Fuck off, Tom.
Fuck you, Kendall.
Thank you. Fuck off.
Fuck off. Oh, come on, man. Fuck off.
We'll implode.
Kerri, the Secret Service is calling you Girly Shirley Temple.
Oh, God, there's no way I'm gonna fit in here.
Well, it's bigger than your mother's womb, and you were in there till you were 15.
Oh.
God, I hope Iran drops a nuke on D.C.
Ooh.
Wouldn't that solve a lot of issues?
This is the thing about being rich. It's fucking great.
And some have said that the show is borderline what you would call a schadenfreude. So that is a term that means you are just taking joy in other people's suffering. This is something that has been adhered to the popularity of Real Housewives, because as far as their security goes fiscally, those housewives above and beyond fiscally more secure than the demographic that watches them. So analysts will come to the conclusion that it is the idea that they enjoy watching them because they tend not to be the best people, are a little bit of a display of money doesn't buy you happiness, and I don't really think it's because they're engaging in the enjoyment of just their pain. But they definitely like to make fun of them. But we'll leave it at that.
Fucking great.
Succession is a pretty hard look at what the family dynamic is when there's a lot of power and a lot of money involved.
The idea of looking at a dynastic family just felt really appropriate right now. We're seeing wealth skyrocket in a way we've never seen before.
I will give you $1 million if you hit a home run.
For real?
Yes. I am dead serious. I will give you $1 million cash for a home run.
You know, succession, the term itself, is about ascending to power.
You know, when we researched this world, we were informed by lots of good consultants on hip clubs and restaurants and lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Can you just remind him he's the guy that owns the company, that owns the company, that owns the label, that pays his fucking ass?
Absolutely.
This is the 1% that we talk about. We've shot in helicopters and cars. It's insane.
It's very much a New York story. It represents a glamorous, glitzy element.
Here's to us.
But all that glitters is not necessarily gold.
There is a story there, and there is empathy. Again, you never have to feel bad. You don't have to root for characters, and I do root for Kendall. I just think it's a pretty hard path to go down if you are trying to recover from something like that. You know, those in your personal life as well, your professional life. It's a dirty, dirty road that he's going down to try to get clean. I totally recommend it.
Try to do the best by them, because I love them.
Have you thought about the possibility that your children are actually scared of you?
Oh, fuck off.
It's similar to Veep. It's got some King Lear aspects to it. Most power stories do. Brian Cox actually played King Lear. It also injects the mythical story of the founding of Rome with Romulus and Remus, the two brothers who were raised by a she-wolf, nursed by a literal she-wolf. They start to build a wall on one of the historical hills. Remus builds a wall on one of the hills, and Romulus jumps over the wall and slays his brother, and that is the supposed founding of Rome. Obviously, it's a myth, but there is a number of occasions in the first season in which Logan calls Kieran Culkin's character Romulus. And that is kind of foreshadowing for what he wants, at least, and maybe even for the series of who will become head of the family. So there is a lot of different aspects of this. Again, you have your dark comedy, you have your Shakespearean aspect with the drama and tragedy, and it's just very entertaining and satisfying television. It's not full of great people, but it's full of great story. Definitely recommend that you watch it. Let me know if you guys want to hear about the upcoming episodes of season 2. I can do some reviews or recaps or do it on the podcast, but definitely worth a watch. Please subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and leave a comment down below. I will see you guys soon.
Here's to us.
But all that glitters is not necessarily gold.